Hello everyone, welcome to another Versus video. I am BBD, joined by
CVM.
and we are ready to battle with some more Standard. I am going to be battling with a bit of a brew. I have battled with similar style decks numerous times in the past. It is a Reanimator deck, and it definitely gets some new additions from M14. In fact, actually a lot of new additions from M14. So I'm excited to see how some of these new cards... M15. Yeah, 2014 M15, I don't know. NFL 2016, after that's probably going to be on the cover, whatever. But yeah, there's some sweet new M15 cards that are going to be a part of this deck, and I want to see how they work out. So basically the deck is just black-green with a small white splash. Obsidat is the only white card in the main deck, but there's a bunch in the sideboard. I felt like the deck has some issues with blue-white control. So having access to Obsidat and then another one on the board and Sin Collector like really improves that matchup some, whereas otherwise it's kind of a beating. So I wanted to splash white for that. It may not be worth it. It might be right to just play straight black-green if I can figure out a way to beat blue-white control without needing it. But for the meantime, I'm going to splash Obsidat. So yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean
You got whip.
He's only double color, so you know it's pretty easy splash. But yeah, we do have lot less troll and whip, so if I ever draw an Obsidat and I can't cast it, I can just pitch him to a troll and then whip him back. You can also do that to give Obsidat haste as well.
That's real cute.
It's a real cute combo. So the core of the deck is all these like cheap creatures: Elvish Mystic, Sylvan Caryatid, Courser, Crewfix, Satyr Wayfinder, lot less troll. These are going to kind of churn through your deck. They're going to provide mana acceleration, and then Satyr Wayfinder and Courser help churn through your deck. And along with Grizzly Salvage and Commune with the Gods, you want to dump cards in your graveyard. And then you want to use these cheap creatures to convoke Endless Obedience to bring them back into play. So these cards all perform kind of a double duty. Satyr Wayfinder is going to put things like Hornet Queen in our graveyard, and it's also going to provide a mana for Endless Obedience to bring it back into play.
Yeah, I mean, if Satyr Wayfinder actually tapped for a mana, the card would be pretty busted.
It would be. So here it sometimes does tap for a mana. And then I want to talk about, we also have two Whip of Erebos, which are pretty fantastic for bringing a lot of these fat creatures back, especially Hornet Queen, because we get to keep the 4 tokens.
Yeah.
So a lot of awesome things there. Also whipping back Shadowborn Demon is not too shabby. So a lot of cool interactions here, and then Soul of Zendikar, another addition from M15 as well, which gives us the ability to do something when it gets milled over. So if we Grizzly Salvage over a Soul of Zendikar, we can still make a beast out of the mix if we don't want to whip it back or Endless Obedience it back.
Yeah.
And it has a sizable body on its own, so it's not a terrible card. And one of the things about this deck is we hardcast a lot of our cards. Even with only 22 lands, we still have 8 mana guys, and then Grizzly Salvage and Satyr Wayfinder both dig for lands, so it's pretty easy to hardcast a lot of these. And that actually happens pretty frequently in most games. And then we have Endless Obedience and Whip to get them back if they ever end up in our graveyard. And I opted to play 3 Commune with the Gods. Normally I don't play any, but since Whip is actually extremely important to this deck because we have, like, unlike the other Reanimator deck that I was playing before that had Obsidat's aid, we don't actually have a way to get Whip back. So if we like Grizzly Salvage and both of our Whips in the Grizzly Salvage, like we're never playing a Whip that game.
Yeah.
So I want to Commune as a way to actually get Whip whenever we dig through our deck. And yeah, because we don't have the Planeswalkers like the other deck did, Whip's actually just much more integral to putting creatures into play over and over again. But yeah, and then Lot Less Troll is another new addition too to kind of fuel the reanimation strategy. And I think it's going to be sweet, but we'll see. But this is the main deck. Let's go ahead and look at some of the sideboard options this deck provides. All right, so the sideboard, we start with 2 copies of Hero's Downfall, which this is mainly for Jace. One of the huge issues with this deck is killing Jace because, dealing with Jace because all the creatures have 1 power for the most part, including Hornet Queen.
Yeah.
So Jace ticking up every turn is just very hard to deal with. So Hero's Downfall and Pithing Needle are both just for Jace. They have applications in other matchups, but mainly the reason I would play these cards is because Jace is just such a beating for the deck. couple of Reclamation Sages, pretty self-explanatory there. Detention Spheres, Banishing Lights, and the like.
And you got to kill Whip of Erebos in the mirror. So.
Yeah, you got to kill that Whip in the mirror, kill those Corsair crew fixes, etc. We have Sin Collectors and other Obsidat. Those are for the control matchup. A couple Golgari Charms, which are very versatile, good against like mono blue, good against the control decks, good against a lot of aggressive decks too, killing a bunch of 1/1s and stuff.
Yeah.
Another Shadowborn Demon, that's mostly for a lot of the mid-rangier decks. Decks like Monsters, for example, is where you would want an extra demon. Decks like Naya or things like that,
Yeah.
you want a third demon there. And then 3 Blood Barons is pretty much for mono black. But I'd also bring those in against like some of the aggressive decks or burn decks or things like that. Overall, I like a lot of the things here. Normally I have Bioblight in my board for pack rat, but since we have Hornet Queen, I'm hoping that kind of solves a lot of the pack rat problem and we don't have to play Bioblight. It may be that we still need Bioblight though. Also, we don't really have a good way to deal with Lifebane Zombie either, so Bioblight could still be worth playing.
It's not a demon, is it?
Is not a demon.
Get him.
You can Shadowborn Demon a Lifebane Zombie. Not a Desecration Demon, though, unfortunately. But
yeah, that's real awkward.
It is real awkward. Hornet Queen does take care of Demon pretty well, though.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I feel like a lot of the numbers can be still tuned with this deck. It's a pretty rough draft, but at the same time, I think it has a lot of potential, so I'm interested to give it a shot and see how it performs.
Hornet Queen is real sweet.
It is real sweet.